All right, welcome to Comfortably Uncomfortable. You've got Sandy and Alex here, and we are here to empower women to choose courage over comfort by getting comfortably uncomfortable. We get real and cut through the bullshit. Are you ready to get a little weird? Because we're going to laugh, sweat, cry, and grow together.
No topic is going to be TMI. Well, maybe for me, but not for Sandy. We complement each other in that way. Okay, so are we ready?
Well, yeah, duh, I am, but are you?
Okay, let's go. The one with the forks. Okay, so Sandy, I'm just going to ask. So, what is the best diet out there?
Drum roll, please. This will
All
be
right.
the shortest podcast ever.
I'm ready.
And will change your life.
I'm ready for it. Hit me.
Whole foods, less processed, moderation.
Thank you very much. That's a wrap.
And see you later. I love it because
seriously,
it is.
Yes.
You like, I get bombarded with ads. I get this, I get that. And it's
oh
like,
my gosh.
I think we're asking the wrong question.
Mm-hmm.
I had a nutrition consultation today and it was like, well, what diet should I be on? And I was like, let's keep going. I kind of like,
Yeah.
because
Right.
there is no perfect diet. I'm
No.
going to say that again. There is no perfect diet. This is the ongoing theme of like, we are all or nothing creatures. It's this idea of moderation, this idea of, you could even call it diet cycling, or understanding that you don't have to be 100% one box all the time
Right.
is like mind-blowing to people.
It is. I know. And then, when I was prepping for this, I decided to go on that Noom website. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah, I know.
And I hadn't heard much about it, but I thought that was so interesting, trying to get like a whole psychological profile on you to understand how to eat, and all these different programs. And now I think there's a layer of positive accountability and motivation in any program, right? Or working with someone directly. But it is pretty hilarious how many diets are out there. I mean, I've tried a ton of different ones, but what I think is interesting is to find like the little pieces of them that you like or have gone well, to come back to whole foods. Not they all have things in common, and it's whole foods, no processed foods, and moderation.
Well, and the thing I come back to is most people look for a diet for weight loss. And I always come back like what I said, what's the perfect diet or what's the best diet? I didn't say anything about weight loss. I said, whole foods, less processed, and moderation.
Right.
I could care less if you're trying to lose weight or not.
Right.
So what's the perfect diet? For me, it had nothing to do with weight loss and has everything to do with getting your body to function optimally, to be at wellness.
Right. Wellness.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting, the word diet, because diet is just what you're consuming and what you're putting into your body. I mean, it is like your nutrition is your diet, whereas the word diet automatically has this negative connotation of losing weight. And like you're doing something that's restrictive, and you're have this goal of being different than you are, but it really is more of just like a wellness journey, and like
and I think the
understanding your consumption.
I think the problem with marketing is everybody's in the game to make money, which I totally get. And if you can create a following, and if you get a spokesperson, then you get more following, you get more people interested. So it's easier. Like, let me try and market this one: whole foods, less processed, moderation, versus ketogenic, Weight Watchers. Like, yeah, I would crash and burn. Like, my business model, good luck with that one. But if you look at all of these, if you look into what they're promoting, they're promoting whole foods, right? They're saying, hey, eat more things that have no label.
Mhm.
fruits and vegetables, right? Things that are
Right.
not prepackaged, things that are going to give your body the nutrients that it's going to help optimally function. Yet we are so programmed to wanting to have a quick fix, right? And wanting to have these
Mhm.
things, which is why I think we're shifting into this idea of like, rather than having, the Weight Watchers shakes, right? And like have a meal in a can
Mhm.
where it's like, here's your
Right, right,
calories and
right.
that's all
Yep.
you have to have, to these prepackaged like wellness meals all the time, like trifectas. When I see like, hey, as a chef, I'll pre-portion it and I'll freshly make it and then I'll deliver it to you, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's a good place where we're going in that sense of saying, hey, if the issue is the amount you're eating or the cooking to put into it because of the time, then yeah, you're gonna have to spend money on it.
Right.
It's
Right.
not that diet or that what they're cooking is magic, because it's not.
Right.
It
Right.
all comes back to like what you're prioritizing
Right.
and how to make it work for your life.
And how, what are, yeah, exactly. What are the stumbling blocks? And how do you remove those stumbling blocks instead of like picking this perfect way to eat or lose weight or, so is it, to your point, you know, preparing? Is it accountability? There are a lot of different things
Yeah,
that
and I
can
think
be your pitfalls.
Noom hits it on the head. I mean, granted, this was my master's work of how do I create an environment that helps kids live healthier lifestyles, because the kids in themselves, like what we saw in the research, was kids were gaining tremendous amount of weight when they entered school age. So why was that?
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where they were perhaps getting less exercise,
Okay.
perhaps eating more processed foods because they, on the way home from school, picked up, something fast food, or it was all the like birthday parties that things were happening. So there was
Hmm.
extra like calories of like, if everyone got to celebrate their birthday and you had 3 cupcakes every time there was a
Right.
birthday, like we just saw that in the research. And so it was
Hmm.
more about creating an environment versus like, hey, we need to get these kids on a diet, because it wasn't the kids
Right.
like
No.
fault. And
Right.
to that point of saying our culture is really set up to overconsume, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to overconsume very easily like accessible, high processed, nutrient dense stuff.
Right.
So when people tell me all the time, like, I have had this. People are like, how do you have the patience to work with people to like lose weight? Like they're just lazy. And I'm like, you have no idea what's
Oh
happening.
my
Like
gosh. Yeah.
no idea.
No clue.
Because there's so many different facets. And it's like I hats off to the
Each
people who can
person
like,
is
have this very controlled environment, and it's
right.
only controlled by them and nothing affects them and they can do it, blah 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 blah. But
Mm-hmm.
like that's where Noom is doing something different. And like I remember reading some of the research of the people who founded it, but it's like
Okay.
basically they took the psychologists who were studying this and somebody said, I'm going to make a business model out of this, and they were like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do an app, let's go. But it's the same way I coach, which is
Okay.
there
Yeah.
is no perfect diet. We
Right.
look at your environment, we look at your psychological profile,
Mm-hmm.
your triggers, your emotional attachments, your past like baggage of
Right.
culture shit,
Well, yeah.
and
I was
unpack
gonna,
that.
I was gonna say a lot of the underlying theme that I've been hearing you talk about, from the kids to this psychological profile, is also like stress
Oh
and
yeah.
life, and it's all the ways that your environment like interacts with your ability or inability to have like proper food available. I mean, whether or not you have the resources or the time to shop, and there are a whole slew of things. Um,
Mhm. And another reason why I bring this client up, this is actually a different client. I helped a guy lose 50 pounds, nutrition and complete, exercise, change of lifestyle. Let's put it this way.
sure.
Stopped eating out, started find joy of cooking, started exercising regularly, hit a place, got better at the sport that he was doing, hit a place, and I was like, we plateaued. And I was like, yeah, like technically, sure, like you could probably lose another 25 pounds and then be like lean fighting like
Yeah.
machine, like not like crazy like fitness model thing, but like lean.
Yeah.
And he was like, what am I gonna have to do that? And I was like, well, I mean, honestly, your A1C is back to normal, your cholesterol is back to normal. Like, I could give two shits if you are losing that last 25 pounds. Like,
Right.
to lose it, you're not gonna like the answer, which is cut out
Right.
beer.
Right.
And he's like, no, I like my beer.
Yeah.
It's been great. And so he was funny because he was like, yeah, I'm good. And he's still, he's still somebody that I train
Uh-huh.
and consult and coach with, because he's like, I'm good. Like, and again, my
Yeah, you sort of
job is not to
yeah,
make you a certain size.
right.
My job is to help you optimally function and create a lifestyle that is like wellness.
Right.
So when I see all these blood tests and they're good, because it wasn't when we first started, it wasn't. And he knew his joints felt better because he lost the 50 pounds. He was
Mhm.
moving faster. He was scoring in his game, like in his rec games.
Right.
Apparently, these adult rec leagues are intense and
Oh
like,
yeah. Yep.
but it legit was like, okay,
Yeah.
you don't have to
You
give up your beer. It's
right.
totally cool.
You sort of have like there's a home I've heard it explained as like a homeostasis weight where you can go, you can dip below it, you can go above it, but at the end of the day, like your body wants to naturally like end up about that
Yeah.
same weight.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
I think
again,
that's to your point. Like you could go extreme, sure, like cut out beer for the next month and, do a handful of things to really get down to that fighting weight. But then when you want to live your life again and you want to enjoy a couple beers, it might creep
well, for
back up and
him,
like
well,
fine.
I'm going to use him as an example because I think he's a good, like, if you saw him, if you looked at him, you'd probably be like, oh, he's overweight. Like,
Hmm.
he's got to lose weight. And what's
Okay.
interesting is like, no, he doesn't. Like
Right.
his body is optimally functioning in the sense of like his organs are functioning well. He has energy. He's sleeping. He's
Hmm.
exercising. He's lifting weights. Like his heart's fine. Yet our culture sees that body type and is like, oh, well, they need to lose weight. Because the
Hmm.
one you describe is somebody I see of like, you look at them and you're like, oh no, they're not overweight, but they're not cut.
No, I
So the
mean,
cutting to me is
yeah.
like, yeah, like you could get into fighting shape and be cut and all this, and that's not sustainable. That's not your
Yeah.
homeostasis
No,
weight.
actually, you know what it was from? It was from the Burnout book. And it was in the chapter where she's discussing healthy at any weight. So it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that you're like, at a socially acceptable weight. It's very much that like you could go to extremes of, maybe gaining more than, an unhealthy amount or, losing to get closer to what you think is what you should be looking like, but your body has
Oh,
like,
yeah.
within a
Mhm.
range, like this weight that it wants to be at that where it functions optimally. So, kind of like accepting that too, because it might not be the fight weight. It's not going to be the fight weight,
I
probably.
was gonna say it's never
it's
the
not.
fight
It's
weight.
not
It's
the fight
never
weight.
the fight weight. Like that's the thing, is like we think the fight weights, we think the lean machine, low body fat,
Hmm.
we think that's supposed to be our homeostasis, and it's not.
Right.
Because if we were like that all the time, we'd be fucking tired all the time. Like
Hmm.
it's not. There's a very small percentage of people who have that as their homeostasis. Like
Right.
minute,
Right.
minute. And then
Right.
there's like, yeah, like all this pandemic weight and all this like 10, 15 pounds I gained, blah, blah. That's where I'm like, bullshit. Like, if you gained it because you stopped exercising, yeah, it's probably because the whole entire world fucking shut down and you don't feel like
Right.
working out in your living room because it's
Right.
not fun.
Right.
It's fun. Or it's the, yeah, I'm around my food environment. I'm in my house
Hmm.
24/7. So yeah, I probably ate a little bit more because it's just around me.
Right.
Again,
Right.
totally fine. It's that extreme of when we start doing that more and more and more and more and more, or we
Hmm.
go like, oh, F it, we say F it, and we just binge,
Right.
right? And then we want to purge, and then we want to binge, and
Mhm.
then we want to purge. And then it's like, what's the best diet? What should I do to lose? I just gave birth to this 9 month, or this, I was pregnant for 9 months, and now I got to lose the weight in 6 weeks. Like, what? No. And so that's where it's like at the end of the day, like we want this quick fix. We want to do this like,
Mhm.
oh, the whole 30 will save my life. I mean, it may if you have a lot of health issues, but it's not that the whole 30 itself was the best diet, is that it was, like you said, pushing you to that accountability
Yeah.
of maybe being in a caloric deficit,
Mhm.
eating more of that non-labeled food, and
Mhm.
allowing your body to optimally function.
Mhm. Yeah, you're understanding how to either you're understanding for the first time or maybe it's a nice refresher or it's just kind of a fun thing to follow a new plan or to like have the guidance. It
I
does get
suck at it.
monotonous trying to do it all the time
I will tell you right now, I
by
suck at it.
yourself.
I was
Yeah.
trying to do like no added sugars for this last, what was it, 9 days.
Uh-huh.
I failed, yo.
Oh
I
my God, it's
failed
terrible. It's
because
terrible.
I was offered a cookie and I was like, I want to eat the cookie. Like, I want it. It
Good
looks
for you.
good. And it was delicious.
I'm glad you ate that cookie.
So like that stuff doesn't work for me. Like I
Yeah.
have realized
No.
it does not work for me, and it is
No.
okay. And if it doesn't work for you, but
Mhm.
what does help me is setting up my environment, meaning like I buy Oreos every once in a while because I binge on those. I cannot be controlled around Oreos. I also set my environment of like, yeah, I have frozen grapes, frozen strawberries in
Right.
my freezer, so that if I'm getting this like craving, I've set up my environment to say, okay, Sandy, like this is going to
Mhm.
help you optimally function because you're craving some of that sugar. So grab that, not just to have, whatever's around
Right.
that may not be helping me. It has nothing to
Right.
do with my weight.
Right. Set yourself up for success and positive accountability in different forms, coaches, partner, if if that helps you stay on the path.
Exactly. And again,
Moderation.
we could have finished this at the
Yeah,
beginning of
we
saying
did. Yeah. Whole
eat more
foods,
whole foods, less
less
processed,
processed. Yep.
moderation.
Moderation. All right. Yet again, we come back to it.
Thank you for showing up today. Getting awkward is always more fun with friends. Give us a review, tag us, and share us so we can continue to grow together.
Use hashtag CUPod, letter C, letter U, or tag us. You can find Sandy on Instagram at Sweat and Shine On, and Alex at AJ.AfterBabyFit on Instagram and AfterBabyFit on Facebook and YouTube. We'll see you next time.